Добро утро! Добро утро на всички, които се включват за първата презентация днес. Това е презентацията на Университа Cattolica. Докато дадеме още малко възможност на хората да се посъбудат и да се включат в презентацията, аз ще припомня още веднъж днес програмата. От 10:30 е презентацията на Cattolica, която сега започва. Следващата е на Институто Европео ди Дизайн от 11:30. Следващата презентация е 12:30 Нова Академия де Беле Арти, НАБА. 1:30 EOF University of Venice, архитектура и дизайн. И ще завършим в 2:30 с презентацията на Lingua Viva, които ще ни разкажат малко повече за отделните тестове, изпити и подготовката за тях. Днеска имаме честта и удоволствието Аиша, с която работим вече повече от 10 години, да ни разкаже малко повече за Университа Cattolica и за възможностите за реализация след чудесните програми, които те предлагат. Моята колега Ивелина ще следи за вашите въпроси, които се надявам да ги задавате в чат секцията, в чат-бокса, за да може да ги записваме и след това, ако не сме отговорили на някои от въпросите ви, да отговориме по имейл. Предпочитаме го пред Q&A, където, за съжаление, тези въпроси не се записват. Затова, моля ви се, задавайте си въпросите в чат-бокса. Още веднъж, благодаря ви, че участвате на нашето събитие. Целият екип на Skyline е на линия, ако имате някакви въпроси по време на изложението и на презентациите. И да напомня за тези от вас, които получат някакви технически проблеми или пък в имейл не могат да си намерят някои от презентациите, всичките те са качени на нашия вебсайт studyinitaly.bg в секцията програма на изложението. Всички линкове са активни, така че и оттам можете да се включите. Okay, Aisha, I think I talked enough in order to give the people a bit more time to jump in.
To come in. Mm-hmm.
It's your turn now.
It's my turn. Okay, as you said, dobro utro. Good morning and buongiorno, since we are in the Italian ideal now, as of today. I will share my screen and present myself again. There we go. Okay. You see the first slide, right? Everything is technically okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So my name is Aisha Pathak, as Dimitar has just told you. And I am the Bulgaria area manager in Cattolica. What does this mean? It means that along with Skylines, I will be your point of contact within the university. So even though it's the largest private university in Europe, we are big. It does mean that all your questions will be directed to myself, and I will be happy also to do Zoom calls or anything else that you and your family wish to discuss further as well. So that is who I am. 10 years that I have been working in Cattolica. I think Dimitar also mentioned that. I care to say I have come often to Bulgaria. I have the best memories there. So a lot of what I will say also does come from my limited experience of the culture and of the country as well. Also, I care to stress I have also experienced studying and working, for example, also in the United Kingdom. And I am so passionate about Italy that I can also, if any of you are considering both countries, also happy to tell you what I think of the two different countries. And I really have experience of these different education systems. So what I will tell you today also about Italy comes from a perspective of someone who I grew up in Italy, but has always followed another education. So really trust me when I say I come to you as an international person who is going to give you my personal work and academic experience of the two, I mean, of Italy and of Italian higher education and of Cattolica, which for 10 years now I have come to learn and love. Okay, let's start with something, I'm sorry, a bit intense for a Sunday morning, but you will see why this is important. Because you can say, okay, I love Italy, I'm interested in Cattolica, but what happens when I come, right? So what happens when I decide to join in terms of education system? How is it different or how is it similar to other countries, including Bulgaria? All you need to know are two things. If you are interested in joining us for a bachelor degree, so undergraduate, okay, so you're out of high school and you want to start an undergraduate degree, it doesn't matter which subject, you will access it directly if you have, as I guess 100% of the audience today will have, 12 years of education, okay? So it doesn't matter that Italians do 13, we just require 12 to access it. You will then do either, most of you will choose subjects that I guess will be on 3 years, okay? If some of you decide to do medicine, for example, or outside Cattolica in education or law or architecture, this obviously can be more years. Well, of course, our medicine and law are also in Cattolica, but in medicine in English, law in Italian. But regardless of your subject, some of them are a bit longer, right? So that can be 6 years. Afterwards, and this is very important if someone is interested in a postgraduate degree, so a master's, as we usually say in English, there are two types, 2 years and 1 year. And we will discuss later what is, in the future slide, what is the difference of this? But there is a difference, okay? So when you are thinking, okay, I did an undergraduate degree in business, maybe now I want to specialize in something specific, okay, have a think about entry requirements and how these two features different. But there is not like in the UK or in the United States, there's just a master's. It doesn't exist. You have to always specialize either in 1 year or 2 year. Okay, so just keep that in your mind when you're thinking this program could be interesting, maybe not, maybe yes, and we're doing this discourse. The Italian higher education system. So even just the university sector, Skylines know Italy, of course, by extremely well. They're super experts, so they will tell you this information in detail if you need to. But just to give you an idea, in Italy, the higher education system is sort of split mostly in two by public universities and private universities, such as ourselves. There is an increasing online universities, but I don't think it's still as established, frankly speaking, as, of course, the public and the private universities. And then there's a whole sector of, for example, music industry schools, dance schools, which may release undergraduate degrees, for example, may not. But the key thing here for you to understand is, of course, with the guidance of Skylines, is to understand what I'm interested in. And especially, are my credits recognized from that institution or from that school that can then access, can I work after that? And can I, for example, do a postgraduate study after that? Because not everything and everyone releases, of course, recognized credits. So you have to just bear that in mind. I care to say sort of why Bulgarians should choose Italy. Now, I mean, of course, the Skylines have invested so much attention in Italy. There must be a good reason, and I'm sure they can integrate their perspective. I'll share my perspective. My perspective is based from the fact that when you are choosing the world, in England, we have we have an expression: the world is your oyster. Most of you, I'm sure, are very young. And can really opt for many, many places. So why Italy? Italy has one important aspect, which is we are a key commercial partner of the country. What does this mean? Some of you are very young. You may not understand why that is important. Essentially, if the two countries have a lot of commerce and have a lot of industry, import and export exchange, in theory and in practice, there should be a lot of work opportunities there. Of course, Italian companies who are now, well, it's one of the largest presence investing in Bulgaria. Last time I checked, there were 11,900 companies with Italian investment in Bulgaria. These companies will require someone who culturally knows the country and who, of course, speaks the language, and vice versa. All the Bulgarian companies opening in Italy, for example, will require someone who has that cultural perspective and the language. In 2020, and guys, remember COVID year, okay? In 2020, Bulgaria was the fourth country, okay, for receiving Italian exports. And that was an economic crisis. And from Bulgaria towards Italy, Italy was the third country to receive Bulgarian exports after Germany and Romania. Consider how many countries in the world, consider being top 3 or top 4 there. So clearly there's a very, very rich exchange. And I really want you to consider that when you're thinking Cattolica, when you're thinking job perspective, how you can use that to your advantage. One other thing that comes, as I was saying, from my personal experience of Bulgarian students within Cattolica, or my personal experience of coming to Bulgaria, is cultural proximity. Now, of course, there's going to be some culture shock because we are not the same countries, obviously, but we do, I think, have enough in common for you to have less of a cultural shock compared to going to some other countries. When you are so young, for example, I mean, even a master's student is still young, in your 20s, perhaps. Of course, this is something that I think is one less stress factor that can impact, for example, your experience of a country and of a university. Now, getting more, this was a general overview of Italy, okay? But now let's go more into detail about Cattolica, starting from the location. We talk about Italy, a country, but where are we exactly? Cattolica has 5 campuses. I told you it's the largest private university in Europe by number of students, okay? But also because we have 5 campuses. The picture you see, the background that you see on Zoom right now behind me, this is the Milan cloister. You might recognize it also from the photo. Okay. I am based in Milan. My entire team is based in Milan because it is the campus with the most English-speaking degrees and programs. It's, of course, the most international city, but it's important to understand that when you are choosing your degree or your program, you don't just choose, I don't recommend just choosing, yeah, my friend is in Milan, it's fashion, it's cool, I'll go there just because, yeah, it makes sense to go there. Or maybe I'll just go to Rome. It doesn't work like that. The university teaches specific subjects related to the territory. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if you want to study business and economics, okay, if you want to study communication, marketing, Milan is a good place to go study that. That's why Cattolica teaches it there, because it's the economic capital. If you want someone who wants to do food engineering, for example, okay, yesterday I believe was World Anti-Food Wastage Day from organized by United Nations. If you understand how important it is to create sustainable food production systems, you don't want to do that in a big city like Milan or Rome. That's not a good place. You want to go in the heart of the food valley, which is Piacenza and Cremona. Brescia is where some of the postgraduate studies in physics labs, okay, physics and data science are being taught. And you can see they're all in the north. We're not such a big country. So, of course, remember, if you, for example, go to Piacenza, you're just 1 hour train ride from Milan. You see, we're very close geographically. So, of course, you can come to Milan, for example, for that special music concert. Now we have started taking up concerts again, stadiums, everything is happening again. So, of course, that experience of life can happen. If any of you are interested in medicine, now you do that down a bit more south, which is in Rome. Why? Because we own the second largest hospital there. Of course, you go and study medicine where there is a hospital on campus. Why would you not? It ensures direct access to patients and clinical experience. So I'm just giving you an example. Okay, you think of Italy instead of some other countries, well done. But then you have to take it an extra step. Apart from budget, apart from program content, think, why should I study in one particular city? How can it help me with internships, field projects, and of course, your career? And then, of course, you know your geography. Look at our location in Europe. Very useful. Again, internships. You don't have to do your internship in Italy if you don't want to. If you find a company that needs someone of your profile, for example, in London, I'm just guessing, okay, then you can actually go and do that. But the fact that you are close, or in the rest of Europe, Switzerland, France, it means that, of course, you have less issues, even from a logistics point of view. Okay, I'm going to try and take you to let's say, in a trip around. I'm sure many of you or your parents have been coming to Italy and know, especially cities like Milan. But instead of giving you a tourist guide, let me again talk about it from a perspective and employment side. Milan is my city. Really, it is the most international. Just next weekend, I'm going to take my mom, who's mother tongue like me, to go watch, movies in English, for example. We have always had the lowest unemployment rate. Maybe the newspapers talk about Italy, talk about brain drain, talk about high unemployment, honestly, but not Milan. The north of Italy has always held very, very well, because that is where, it's not the most beautiful city, but this is where the business is. This is where some of the most acknowledged universities are. It's not a coincidence. And okay, of course, most students like to talk about rankings. So QS has always nominated Milan as the best Italian city. Ever since I started working, every year, it's no surprise. I think it's because of the services. There's a lot of foreign investment. So of course, we having more international students and professionals, of course, we have to, give that kind of perspective and that kind of service to internationals. Brescia. Now, some of you, I don't know if you've ever even heard about Brescia, but if you haven't, you should. Very, very rich area, still up in the north. It's a very textile and industry heavy city. Lots of stuff to do. I recently went for the weekend as well in terms of culture and leisure. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but more importantly, in terms of studying, our campus there really ensures that it's quite small compared to Milan, which is the big campus, let's say, in the city center. In Brescia, we have a new campus. Everything is more intimate. So if you don't want to, have if you're not someone who wants a lot of students around you, wants more personalized attention, Brescia, if you're doing a postgraduate program, could be a good option. But Cremona, absolutely beautiful, heart of the Food Valley, very famous for the violin museum, for example. Now, Cremona is very, very key when it comes to talking about food and logistics. The geographical position, just like its neighboring Piacenza, is one of those. But if you are interested in any aspect of food, this is your place. The amount of investment is incredible there, both national and international, and we have a very exciting new campus. There's been lots of news coverage about it. And what I find is very particular for someone who has seen many different universities in different parts of the world, also because of my job, I can assure you there's one thing that is very stands out about Cattolica. They take campuses that are very, let's say, old in the sense of archaic, beautiful, antique, Renaissance period, Baroque period campuses. Okay, so you can see this is a 16th century monastery and inject all the innovation that you need and the efficiency. So there's a very stark contrast to it, which I think is incredible. When you think of when you think of Italy as generally all the beauty and the history of Italy, you can actually go and study there, but taking advantage, of course, of everything that you need to actually do your lab work, to do your whatever it is that you need. There's so many things that we need, of course, from a technological point of view. Piacenza, closest to Milan. Again, that's where we both teach some management programs, so global business management, but also do, again, food-related and wine-related master programs as well. And Emilia-Romagna, I was very surprised. Our region is actually the leading Italian region by value of exports. So I was very, very surprised. If you, not surprised, positively, happily surprised by that. I thought it was Lombardia, but I was wrong. It's not Lombardy, it's Emilia-Romagna. And in fact, if I think about it also, the biggest Amazon distribution point is in Piacenza, because logistically, it is at a great point. So again, think about foreign investments, think about job opportunities there. And of course, beautiful, beautiful Rome. I think one of the most beautiful cities in the world, according to my personal choices. That is the Eternal City. Now, we have 3 programs there that you could be interested in, 2 postgraduate programs, 1 undergraduate, which is medicine and surgery. There is so much to say about the hospital. There's so much to say about the faculty. So, of course, that is when we have a one-to-one chat, perhaps. But just bear that in mind. I'm very proud, especially of the hospital, because this year it was ranked as the world's best hospital by Newsweek, the US newspaper. So considering everything that happened and COVID involvement, I did think that was a particularly pretty cool ranking and to have as well. So you do teach by the best. Now, probably the biggest factor here, why Cattolica? The slide seems to be so empty compared to how much I have to say, but it's because I love talking about Cattolica itself. I have the most respect of Italian higher education. I'm not here to tell you Cattolica is the best, because the best doesn't exist. It's all about the fit, correct? But I am here to tell you why I think Cattolica does better compared to some other places, if the things that I will tell you are important to you. Maybe they're not, but if they are, then here, keep your ears open. When I say that we're private, what does it mean? It essentially put, there's a little bit more money circulating. How do we use that money? It's invested in services. So by having if you just think about it, by having a personal contact in Cattolica, having skylines in Bulgaria that are basically skylines know Cattolica just as much, if not better, honestly, than Cattolica staff. By having an invested local representative to help you free of charge, that is something that is really not common for all Italian institutions. By having full, for example, support when it comes to admissions, when it comes to welcoming events, by having maybe specific investment in terms of financial aid, which we'll talk about later, we can try and make your international student experience a little bit more easy for you. We're still not perfect, but compared to the American universities, the British universities, maybe the Dutch that have been doing it for 20 plus years. But on the Italian scene, I think we do pretty well. And certainly we have more than 10 years of experience in dealing with international students and especially Bulgarian students. Let me make it clear, there is no need to be Catholic. Okay, you can see my name is not Italian or not Catholic at all. So religion is something that the university is, of course, Catholic. You will have to respect the basic ethics of it. However, you can believe whatever you want to believe, or you can believe in nothing. It makes little difference. Okay. However, there is one thing that I love about this university, which is they do pay attention to the individual. I think that is part of the Catholic tradition. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the priorities of the university. But since international students are a minority, you stand out. This can be good and this can be bad, but let's focus on the good, okay? The good is that you are more special because there's less of you. So we try again to try and really recognize the individual and have a very sort of a very personalized approach to what you need. For example, tutors. You could be in a class of 120 students plus in 220 students, but you know you have your own tutor to try and assist you in whatever it is that you need. I can't find my exam. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know, this class, I missed it. What can I do? It's a different education system. So of course, it helps to have someone at your call to help in that transition as well. And then, of course, even though rankings are not the only parameter, I choose to tell you the ones that I do think are an important factor, okay, to consider. So before going to that, just to tell you a bit of numbers, okay, we have 40,000 plus students. As I said, internationals tend to be a bit of a minority there. So we focus very much on diversity. You don't have hundreds and hundreds of one nationality there, hundreds of Bulgarians or hundreds of Chinese, hundreds of Indians. It doesn't work like that. We have less from each country, but from literally all over the world. So it's a very, very international experience in an Italian context. So just over 5,000 international students, a lot of partner universities. I'll explain a bit more what I mean by that. And of course, English top programs and Italian top programs. I do care about the English taught. Is usually, from what I see in the last 10 years, Cattolica doesn't take many of its Italian programs and just translate it and ta-da, we have an English top program. You do, but we actually have it international in the way that we conceive it, the way it's thought of, the way we have visiting professors, the type of international students that come on the program, and of course, the international opportunities within each program. That is why we only have fewer English programs than Italian top programs, because to make a very international program, it takes a lot of investment and services and time for a non-English speaking country. So our English top programs are limited, but the ones that are done well, essentially put. But to talk about rankings, we have 14 subjects in the top 300. What does this mean by rankings by subject? If you close your eyes and you think how many universities you know that teach economics, just in, for example, in Sofia or in Bulgaria, maybe take another country. How many universities do you think teach that? Take that to the whole world. You can imagine that being top 200, top 150 is not exactly easy. Okay, so that testifies, let's say, internationally, the academic aspect of our rankings. But most of us are studying because we need a job afterwards. We have a career. Now, my favorite sentence to say is no university is a job agency. A university teaches, but a university has the obligation, I feel, to put you in contact with employers to make your job hunting experience easier and more relevant. Okay. So what we do is we are number 1 in the country for employer-student connections. Sorry, my slides go automatically forward. And we do have the QS Graduate Employability Ranking 2020. Okay. And this, again, is something that's been happening all the time. This one. And this is a ranking that we are very strong in. What does this mean? We work with employers, not just at the end of your 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever it is that you come study, but we also create programs based on what employers say they need. So, for example, what we used to teach, for example, in healthcare before COVID is not what we're going to teach now. We are constantly in touch with employers and the industry trends in the world to say, what kind of professional figures do you need? Do you need someone who can do, for example, engineering plus management together? Okay, you want to be a data analyst manager. Okay, fine. So there is a very strong involvement there. Now, of course, guys, let me give you one huge tip. Learn Italian. It's true, the programs are taught in English. You don't necessarily need to know Italian, but when you are thinking about jobs and internships, if you can speak Italian just to a basic level, your chances of finding it faster are much higher. So definitely, I would say to really make the use of 18,000 internship agreements and 25,000 companies registered, then try to focus on your Italian learning. You have time. Okay, now let's look at the programs that Cattolica offers. These are just the macro areas. Undergraduate degrees. So I know that recently we have a lot of undergraduate students from Bulgaria joining us on our undergraduate programs. Let me check on time. Okay, 10 o'clock. So trying without spending too much time on each one, I'll just give you key sound bites. Communication management taught in Milan, fairly new program. It's not just communication, it's communication focused on food and fashion. Two major Italian exports. Major. So when all the programs have similar, I think if you're looking many universities, we all offer similar degrees by name, right? Oh, yeah, she does economics. Yeah, they do communication. Pick up the curriculum, talk to Skylines, because you will see that even though the title can be similar, the course content changes university to university. And our communication management does focus on food and fashion. So that is fantastic to bear in mind. Something very unique, I think, in the whole of Europe. Economics and management, very popular. It requires good mathematics, of course. The first 2 years are exactly the same. In the third year, in your final year, you will split and specialize. Some of you will go down the economics route. Some of you will go down the management route. Okay. Finance. New program again, as in from last year. Again, banking and finance. Do you know that I told you before? Milan is the financial capital. The Italian stock exchange is 15-minute walk from Universita Cattolica. They come and head on for our best students. So again, does it make sense to study finance in a financial capital European? Yeah, probably yes. And again, the ranking of banking and finance, they do a lot as well for when it comes to not just numbers, but also in terms of soft skills investments. They create their own graduate career days. They do a lot. So everything that is your world of finance, they really cater to students for that. One of my favorites, international relations and global affairs. One thing to bear in mind, this program does require good maths. Not, of course, as much as economics and finance, but the basis of money makes the world go round, and money is one of the reasons for global disputes. So you need to understand economics to understand international relations. That is why our entry requirements are a little more stringent on this. Okay. But incredible program, very, very international as well. So if you want to study international relations, do that with someone on your right that is from one country and left from another country. That will definitely add to the experience. Psychology. Our psychology covers everything: clinical, child psychology, organizational behavior, neuroscience. In 3 years, you are in for an intense ride, as they say. You will touch on different aspects of psychology. So it's not predominantly science. It's not predominantly, for example, humanities. It's a mix of everything. And then you decide what to do after 3 years to continue down the typical, couch and therapist perspective of psychology, or if you go down, for example, marketing route. Okay, so other things that use psychology. Food production management. Honestly, I think that is the program that is the most niche, but is the one that has potentially the best employment opportunities. By 2050, the world doesn't have food for everyone. That is a World Food Health Organization statistic, okay? There's not enough food. We have to learn how to change food sustainably. That doesn't mean you're going to go down in the agriculture. You're not going to put your boots and go in the middle of the field. You are going to learn every aspect of the food cycle. There's a bit of science involved. Of course, you have to analyze foods, but how to manage the food production system. And that is taught in Piacenza, Food Valley. Medicine surgery requires 1 hour, just a presentation for medicine and surgery. Lots to say, but what I can assure you is it is the smallest class possibly. It's 80 students for 6 years with a very low dropout rate, extremely low. Okay. So you start with 80 and you will finish probably with 80, maximum 78. Okay. Very small classes for maybe the most difficult subject in the world in your own, with your own hospital in the same campus. This is what the aspect I was saying for the postgraduates. Let me see if I can move. Okay. 2-year program. So imagine you finished your bachelor degree maybe in Bulgaria. Now you're interested in a master's. The 2-year program is a Master of Science degree. 120 European credits will give you access to anywhere in the world for PhDs. So if you are considering further academic research, you must consider the 2-year. I would advise it. Okay. If you instead have come from maybe a different background, so for example, you've done engineering and you want to do business, then you need to be probably looking at the 1 year. Of course, I cannot say there's a very clear cut of entry requirements. There is a case-by-case scenario. And of course, Skylines can help with my help trying to understand, you know, if you have one opportunity compared to the other. But generally speaking, the 2-year is a natural continuation of the bachelor degree. The 1 year is okay to also change. It's more because there's less theory focus, more practice, because there is 9 months study, 3 months internship. You have to do the internship. Now, that doesn't mean the 2 years don't do the internship as well. Nowadays, practical experience is absolutely fundamental. We know that. Remember, we're #1 in the country for employer student connections. We know. But the conception of the program is different. One is not better than the other. It really depends what you want to do. So these, when you're looking at the program list, this is what you need to bear in mind of. I cannot tell you now, it would take forever for me to tell you sort of one key point of each thing, of each program, but have a look at the list. Of course, Skyline also have our brochures. We have our website. So this is what we do for the 2-year programs. You can see it varies from something as, let's say, it's not simple, but as simple looking as management right through to something as specific as physics for technologies and innovation. We also have 1 year specializing masters, of course, and these are, you can see the subjects are much more specific. Okay. And these go from political science right up to all aspects of business and economics. And we also have January intake for the 1 year masters. So for example, if you are a master student and you're interested in one of these, you can know that you could start in January coming soon or in January 2024, of course. Again, you see everything from arts management right up to user experience psychology. So if any of you speak Italian to a B2 level, consider an Italian top program, of course. Entry requirements are pretty much the same. Prices are the same. So don't feel like you can't do that. Of course, we do have plenty more in Italian top programs. Money, the slide that probably the parents following, if there are any, are the ones most interested in. Right. If money goes, the tuition fee is not based on your nationality, but it is based on where you are paying taxes. So it doesn't matter what citizenship you have. If you are in Bulgaria, which is of course a European country, you will pay EU tuition fees. This means that you have a minimum and a maximum for each program, okay, depending on the type of program. So if you're interested in one of our 3-year programs, English, Italian, doesn't matter what subject, okay, you are looking just under 4,000 euros minimum to a maximum of just over 9,000 euros. How do you know how much you pay? There is a complex algorithm based on family income. There are some parameters which Skylines are very familiar with, but essentially put, of course, the lower the income, the lower you are on the lower end, of course, 4,000, right up to 9,000. Okay. If you're interested in medicine, of course, it's completely different requirement in terms of course, the services, the labs, the hospital access. So there, the prices are from 7,000 to 16,000 euros. The postgraduate programs of 2 years range very similar to the undergraduate, 4 to 9, let's say. Okay, and then the one-year master's, each program has a different price. Let's say that the cheapest is 7,000, right up to 12,000. Okay. Now, in terms of scholarships, European residents have access to what is called DSU, Diritto allo Studio Universitario. This is the Italian government putting funds along with the university and the region the university is. So, for example, in the case of the Milan campus, this would be the Lombardy region, for example, okay? Now, what happens is they calculate your family income, your family nucleus, how many people in your family, the property you are owned, very complex algorithm that they use, and they decide, okay, this person has, requires financial aid. And bear in mind, this is not a loan. You're not paying anything back. It's a financial aid. This is money given to you to cover your costs. If you are awarded it, you pay nothing. It can go as far as also assistance in food and accommodation. Does it sound too good to be true? Possibly, in the sense that, please bear in mind that there's no easy way. No one can ever guarantee to say, yes, definitely you get it. We can talk about chances, all right? Most Bulgarian students that come onto Cattolica do get it. But of course, I feel like telling you, look at your budget, because in the unlikely case that you don't get it, I don't want you to have to leave halfway through the year or halfway through your degree because you didn't have the money for it. So obviously, I'm sorry if it's obvious, but obviously, I feel like saying always look at the financial aspect of it. And, yes, very welcome to apply. You should apply, but then only ever join a university if you actually think you have backup option B behind. Okay. Now, the living cost doesn't matter which campus you're in so much. As a national average, 10 to 12,000 euros. Please remember, Milan is pricey compared to Piacenza, Cremona. Milano, Roma can be a little more expensive. Piacenza, Cremona, and Brescia a little less. So if your program is taught, for example, similarly enough for other campuses, that's something to bear in mind, of course. All right. But that your tuition fee plus your living cost, that is your annual budget for everything. Okay. Entry requirements we will discuss, I'm sure, also in the Q&A. And I want to start finishing up because I want to have enough time for Q&A. But bear in mind that 12 years, again, as I said, of education, and I think most of you are fine with that, at least for bachelor's. Your subjects, we don't have overall GPAs that we look at, but we do care about what subjects you studied. So if you want to do economics, we will look at your maths. We don't care that you're a sportsman, for example. Okay. I mean, we do care. That's great for you, but that's not going to help. Or you have A star in geography. It's important that you do well in the subjects related to the degree. That's what's important. Language, if you are doing, for example, the Bulgarian national curriculum and you want to study in English and you need to get an IELTS or a TOEFL or a Cambridge certificate, for example. On the 2-year programs, and especially in the 1 year, there's a little more flexibility at postgraduate, but for undergraduate, it's a bit more strict there, okay? Applications now, okay, you don't need to know too much details except for the fact that medicine has opened. So if any of you are interested in medicine for 2022, definitely talk to us. If you want to apply for anything else, applications will open in December with, let's say, overall final deadline, March, April. The general rule is apply early. These programs are not many programs. They don't have many places and the competition is tough. I'm not saying it because I want to sound cool or I want to scare you. I'm talking out of experience, and I'm sure Skylines can also back that up, having sent so many students in the years. Some programs are really very competitive. So don't wait. Also because now we are talking and it's October, right? You have time before applications open and the first deadline. So no point waiting, okay? Of course, you can only apply when you're in your final year or if you already finished. We don't do early acceptance and we don't do deferrals. But if you are ready, do it early. Also because it's nice for you to know what happens. Do you have option B, option C? Get your life sorted, accommodation, whatever it is that you need to get your life gathered, because I really hope all of you will be coming in September 2022 in presence, and we can say bye-bye to COVID for a while or forever. All right, just to give you a better idea of the services, accommodation does not exist on the Milan campus. We're in the city center. For example, in Piacenza there is, in Rome there is. It doesn't matter basically which campus you go to though. We also work with providers of accommodation. So it's always your responsibility to find it, but we help you. I don't expect you to know which company does accommodation in Milan by yourself. We have a list of providers that are English speaking, safe and legal that you can refer to. Each campus has a healthcare center for physical and of course psychological support. So within the actual campus, there are some sport facilities, of course. So, for example, the Rome campus has amazing tennis and football courts. Piacenza also. It's important to keep active and healthy. We, of course, help you also learn Italian if that is something you want. But we're not a language school. But so if you have to come to Italy to study just Italian, then this is not the case. But if you are coming to study, for example, an English top program and you want to learn Italian, you should. We can also offer that opportunity. And of course, we have an award-winning International Student Association as well, that can really help you settle in, have some fun, because life is not just about studying. And it's very important because that is how you learn the Italian culture and mixing with other international students as well. I'm very proud. I'm about to finish, so bear with me. I'm very proud of the options that Cattolica offers to go abroad. Nowadays, employers could tell you it's not enough that you are Bulgarian and coming to study in Italy, because you say, but I went to study abroad. And they say, yeah, well done. But if you can add more international, even better. So you could do a tailored internship abroad. You could go for one of the double degree options that are very much so at Masters of Science degree programs. You could go and do language programs abroad. You could do volunteering abroad. And we're talking with Ivy League University. From Stanford right through to London School of Economics to Australia, we have options and partnerships within and inside Europe, outside Europe. So definitely some of this is on payment, some of this is part of your tuition fee, the classic Erasmus, whatever. You could even get scholarships to do your thesis. So whatever it is, if you have the option and the interest to go abroad once you're in Cattolica, please consider that as such. Basically, that's done. This is my email address. I'm going to be following up with a lot of you as well. That's our website address. You see my name at the bottom, of course, Aisha Patak. Follow us on our Insta and on our Facebook. We're doing some snapshots, some alumni talk. So we're increasingly trying to get more and more social. Of course, don't forget there is Skylines. So, whether you get in touch with them, whether you get in touch with us, the important thing is to ask questions and get those conversations going, because studying abroad is such a big deal. It's emotional, it's financial, it's a huge commitment. And we respect that. We've all done it. I've done it. I understand. So it's very important that you get as many answers as possible, whether it's program, whether it's life experience, whatever it is that you're interested in, we will get those questions answered. Last but not least, well done for thinking Italy, because it's not the most common higher education destinations. In Bulgaria, it certainly is increasing. But remember, it's a non-saturated panorama with international students. It's a really good country to think about, to stand out, because this is where employers want people like you. You're already special with just by even understanding English. So well done for thinking Italy. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations if you are following them today. Okay, that's me done. And now I will be happy to leave, 15 minutes Q&A? Just on 10 minutes Q&A. All right. Evelina, tell me if I have to go through anything again as well.
Okay, just to say that you have more minutes, but all those who are going to the next presentation, they can of course go, but you and I, we can stay and answer the questions,
Perfect.
For example, 20 minutes. I think
Okay.
The recording will stop at some
Perfect.
point.
Okay, even better. So guys, this is your opportunity.
Okay. There are a lot of questions. Let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
So Ioana would like to know what is the competitive SAT score for the Bachelor in Economics and Management in English?
Okay, the minimum that if you need the SAT, that's the first point. It's not compulsory, the SAT. If you need it, how do you know if you need it? If your mathematics is absent, maybe I don't know, your curriculum didn't do maths, or your math scores are a little not super high, okay? As an extra push, then you can do the SAT. Maybe you're applying for other universities that also want the SAT. I don't know. But I want to make clear, it's not compulsory always to do the SAT, okay? But I certainly recommend it as a higher push to your application. And we require 560 as the minimum in the math score, 560.
Okay. Marie and also Neda would like to know if Cattolica offers international relations bachelor program in Italian.
Yes.
And I've sent some.
Scienze politiche, absolutely.
Okay, but also the linguistische one, it's kind of a little bit, adding linguistics to international relations.
You cannot mix 2 degrees.
No. The one that is Scienze Linguistische.
Okay. Scienze linguistiche, certo. Of course we do Scienze linguistiche.
Excuse my Italian.
I understood you perfectly. Yes. And can I just give I like to give personal experiences. Most of my colleagues doing this job in around the world have studied Scienze linguistiche in Cattolica. I am English mother tongue because I went to English school, but I can assure you the quality of teaching of languages in Cattolica is exceptional. Russian, Spanish, German, all my colleagues learning all these languages, I have to say are exceptional. So I really, even though I didn't study it, I can see that it's really good quality.
And I also see that you have international relations in Italian in Brescia and in Milan. And
there are multiple. Milan is the biggest one for sure. So probably would be in Milano, to be honest, for Scienze Politiche. Milan is the city with anyone wanting to do international relations. It doesn't matter, undergraduate, postgraduate, English, Italian. Milan is the second city after New York with the amount of consulates. So the diplomatic, the consulates where students go. So it's an incredible place to go study political sciences for sure.
And then to go to Rome with a diplomatic special.
And then exactly.
Okay. Okay, Iskra is asking about the PhD in communication management. Is there such a program actually in English or in Italian available?
In Italian, maybe. Honestly, we don't follow the PhDs, but I'm guessing there will be a PhD in Italian because we do have PhDs. Like Cattolica does have a sector doing PhDs. I don't know what subjects. I don't know how many. But we can drop you. I can send through Evelina the office email so you get in touch. I'm guessing you speak Italian, so of course you can get in touch directly as well.
I think so. I'm not sure. Also, Iskra is asking about work opportunity as a guest professor, but I think she should ask this.
You need to ask exactly this visiting professor's option. I would get in touch with the PhD and understand, like the PhD office, and understand if that's an opportunity, how to do it, when to do it. Definitely get in touch with them.
Okay. Ioana would like to, she says, I saw yesterday that starting an application for the Bachelor of Science is not available for people who are still in high school. When is this going to be open?
It's not about you must apply when you're in your final year of high school. The point is, it's not open for anyone. Basically, it opens in December. The only applications open now for 2022 is medicine and surgery. The reason because there is a test to do, so we have to do everything early. But otherwise, everything else, postgraduate, undergraduate, anything starting in September will start in December in 2 months.
I think also Ioana added that she already made an account. The same girl is
for
asking,
medicine, I guess, though.
I don't know, but Ioana, probably you're listening to us. Maybe we can get in touch after the presentation or during the week to see what you started, but it's not the thing that you need to apply for a bachelor.
Exactly.
For 2022.
Maybe you started for a 1-year master starting in January, but I really advise you that to get in touch with Skylines, because if anything, we will send you emails saying, hey, why are you not finishing your application? And the answer is you don't care about that program. So make sure you get in touch so that we can, let's say, stop you getting emails that are not relevant and not right for you.
Yes. Yeah, Iskra again is asking about the PhDs, but we are going to send the contacts because okay, Ioana has a lot of questions. One of them, the other one is, what are the specifics of your university and its community that you're proud of? What type of students are you looking for? What are your community values?
Wow, community
community.
Yeah, it's very personalized. I will say one answer and probably another colleague will say another. So it's also good for you to talk to other students as well, see what their answers is. What I think, and I'm not saying it because I work for the university, okay? Really, I mean, I'm here, okay, at Cattolica rep, but I talk to you because it's your life. So I don't want to give you fake info. I'm talking to you as a normal person in a coffee bar. What I think is, what I'm really proud of is what I was saying, the attention to the individual. Because when a university is so big, I experienced it going to a very big university. You can just be one number amongst many. You're just someone who pays money and you just are, let's say, invisible. Okay. Like that's really not the case in Cattolica. We try so hard not to, especially being an international students. We really try to make that community a little bit more special for you because you need it. Of course, you're missing home. You've made a big decision. Financially, we're more expensive than others. We have to justify that commitment to you. And I think really the way that they try to try and cater to students is something that is something well said. And I also was very impressed with the fact about the employer connection, because some universities can say, hey, you're just coming to me to teach, to have a good time. Okay. And the end, that's my duty. But actually, honestly, I can really see when I talk to professors, when I talk to other offices dealing with employers, they really try to make sure that you get value for money. So teaching not just the theory of 20 years ago, but something that is really relevant now. What is the future industry? What are the future trends? And I think that's a very big part of our university and our, let's say, texture of people who work there.
Excuse me, ladies, before you continue with the questions and answers, just to mention that the next presentation is starting in 2 minutes. So the students that are interested in design, they can jump into the presentation of Istituto Europeo di Design. But you can continue with the Q&A session as long as you want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Aisha, shall I go to the next question?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, Zenka would like to know if there are any specific diploma requirements for the medicine and surgery in English.
Actually, no. I think you don't expect this answer. We need you to have a recognized diploma of 12 years. Full stop. Why? Because we have a very difficult test. Now, so the diploma is not the difficult part. The difficult part is to rank highly in our admissions test. And our test is not the IMAT. So if you're looking at the public universities or even some private universities that do medicine in Italy in English, we don't do the IMAT. Make sure you understand that. It's a completely, it's our own exam. It's similar to IMAT, but it's not the IMAT. So in terms of diploma, I would say, of course, I recommend doing well in biology and in chemistry, which are the two very tough areas of the entrance exam, but there is no specific subject to GPA requirement. So submit the application as early as possible, and then you will have to start practicing on the online simulator. And I have, not to scare you, but expectation management. if you are a Bulgarian passport, European anyway, you are going to be competing for 1 out of 30 places with over 1,000 students sitting the test. So you can see that it will require you to do a lot and a lot and a lot of practice. That's why it's important to start early.
It's because you have the practice tests that
we do have an online simulator which tells you which areas you're doing well, which areas you're not doing well. Of course, go and work on the non-well areas, of course.
Yeah, but one should register, apply.
First, you apply to the online application, pay 160 euros, that you cannot have it waived. One important thing we didn't tell, I'm sorry. We forgot to tell everyone, maybe Skylines will tell you, that for all programs except medicine and surgery, because there is a test, your application fee is waived. So another big plus for applying through Skylines.
Yes, thank you, Aisha. Thank you. Theodora is interested in the Bachelor in Psychology.
Nice.
In English, and she would like to know more about the program and the certificates and classes in order, maybe the question is about the requirements for the Bulgarian diploma.
Okay.
What subjects, for example, are considered?
Remember, I was telling you that this is not like psychology in the most scientific sense, nor is it psychology in the humanities sense. It's a mix of everything. That is why we take students who are doing all the sciences, and we're taking students who've never done any science. Some curriculums, you can choose outside Bulgaria, for example, you can choose also specific. We want a very diverse class. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, basically. Of course, psychology will cover a bit of some basic science. Of course, you have neuroscience classes. So if you're doing any of the sciences, do well in that. But to be honest, there's no subject specific. There you have to apply, and then you have an interview for psychology. And it's a psychologist that will do the interview. So the important part is to be honest and to make sure you understand what Cattolica offers in psychology. Another university in psychology offers something else. They want to make sure you understand your expectation, you understand what we offer, why you like it, or what aspects you don't like, so that then they can really have an honest interview. Because remember that interviews are your turn to interview them as well. So no specific diploma subject as such, but you will have an interview where you have to be, honest and do your homework and understanding what the program offers.
Okay, she's asking about the deadlines. They were mentioned April, but as soon as possible.
No, April is the absolute final deadline. Absolutely not. Honestly, on our website by December, we will have the deadlines, but I can tell you already, we have many deadlines: January, February, March, and April. I do not recommend going beyond March. I do not.
Most important is that they need the English certificate at the time of application.
Correct. Your first step is talking to Skylines to say, do I need to do an English certificate? Yes, no. If the answer is yes, get that organized now. Because, of course, you can then say, for example, in January, maybe by the end of January, you can submit, or mid-January, you can submit the application already with the certificate, and it's a complete application.
Okay. Theodora, with another Theodora Ivanova, would like to know, can the tuition fee change throughout the years? For example, you start with one tuition fee, the minimum and maximum.
Yeah.
Can you?
No. So in general, even out of experience with another country, if a tuition fee changes, the people who have signed up for you, when you started, you signed up for this, tuition fee tends to stay the same. It only impacts the new students. So even though there may be variations of 50 euros, 100 euros, like very, very minor, if there is suddenly one day that it changes by a lot, that you don't get affected by that. The changes can be pretty minor.
Ivana would like to know, how does Cattolica feel about dual citizenship, in particular Russian? Is it good to include it?
Okay.
Would love to answer.
I do. I have a basic question though. Dual nationality to me is of interest if you're doing medicine, because in the case that you have Bulgarian and Russian, for example, it's important to make it clear that the EU, Bulgarian, will win over that. However, if you're interested in anything else, and in general, dual is fantastic because usually means you have more cultural experience of two countries. It's very valuable. We have tons of students with dual, okay? But it doesn't make an impact on your admissions in the sense that dual, if you have European, is great for no visa issues, of course. You have no limit of how much you stay here to work, how many part-time hours you do after you finish. But in terms of are you more special or not, from an admissions point of view, not particularly. But of course, I know that you probably have some Russian connections, or maybe you speak Russian. That's very valuable. So for you as a person, and as I'm international in Italy, the more international you are, the amazing it is. So by all means, we will love that. But from an admissions point of view or tuition fee point of view, it doesn't make a difference if your parents are paying money in Bulgaria.
Okay. Nikolai is asking, are there any specific requirements for IELTS and SAT? And what scores do we need to obtain? And if we have both, is that an advantage? They're completely different.
Completely different. Again, SAT, if you need SAT. So make sure you check with Skylines if you actually, let's say it's worth the investment in an SAT, okay? Because also if any of you want to do economics, for example, and you don't, your mathematics is a bit a bit weak, there is also the option of doing our online test. So it's not always or SAT or nothing. Just, I have to tell you, my duty is to give you all the options, of course, then you decide which one is best for you. But SAT is to prove numbers, numeracy. Look, I can survive in your economics or finance course. That's the purpose of the SAT for Cattolica, okay? The IELTS is to prove your English. So you must have an IELTS or TOEFL or Cambridge. You must have, or Duolingo, you must have an English certificate if you did not study the last 2 years of your diploma in English. So that is a requirement. The SAT is maybe a requirement depending on what program you want and how strong or not you are in mathematics.
Okay, and the IELTS scores are pretty much
IELTS are, so
bachelor.
For bachelors is always 6.0 overall. The masters have increased to 6.5, I believe. Double check there, but it's new. But you're around 6.5 overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the nickname Galaxy J7 would like to know what certification do you need to apply for medicine in English? I think it's again the same. English
for English language, correct. English is Cambridge, different types of Cambridge, and IELTS and TOEFL.
But I think for medicine you don't need to have the English certificate at the time of application.
Correct.
And then
you should worry about the test first. And then, of course, try to, since we are in October of the year before, look at the timeline of the next 6 months and say, okay, when's a good time to do, you ideally need the English certificate if you get an offer for medicine, but this doesn't happen until April minimum. So I would suggest getting your IELTS or Cambridge or your TOEFL planned next year at some point, but ideally you will have it by April or May. Yeah.
Yes. Venelin would like to know the marks from how many years ago do you look at? Is it like 10 and 11th grade as usually?
2 years. Most of the time, if, for example, you apply on the first day of applications opening in December and you don't have the transcript of the first semester of your first year, then of course we don't have enough to go to look at. So we will need the year before the penultimate. So 2 years ago. But instead, if you already have, your first transcript of the first year of your final year, then even just last year's penultimate year. So usually 2 years back, basically.
Okay. Neda would like to specify for international relations, again, subjects from the diploma that you could consider would be history, geography, languages.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Svetelina would like to know which are the most significant traits that a student entering Cattolica should aim for, and which are therefore prioritized.
Okay. In terms of prioritized, it's not a subjective admission. Admission is hard paper, like scores. We're very academic university. So unlike the US, the UK that look at extracurricular activities, we don't. Okay. But I can tell you what the students who are happiest and success more, not just from a grade point of view, as a personal point of view, are the ones that are proactive. Even though we try to, let's say, cuddle you a bit more than other universities, Italian higher education is, you're not paying 70,000 euros like in an institution in the United States where everything is served to you on a plate. In Cattolica, you have to do things. You have to grow up like real life. You have to ask for help. You have to have patience when you're dealing with bureaucracy. You have to, I would say, those who learn Italian, even if it's not compulsory officially nowhere. Not everyone speaks English or to your level. So the people who are proactive are the ones that tend to be the most successful. Hardest work, but then it pays off. That is absolutely essential, generally for Italy, but certainly also in Cattolica.
Mm-hmm. And Benelin is also interested, do we need TOEIC exam to apply? It's because for public universities, yesterday we discussed the TOEIC exam, but for Cattolica it's not required at all. Neda would like to know, do you have Erasmus programs?
Yes. and I mean, I don't want to, belittle Erasmus, but honestly, search for universities that do more than just Erasmus. Erasmus is not the hardest thing to set up. We do Erasmus, but we do so many other really cool things that others don't. So yes, absolutely. Study abroad opportunities, tons. Yes.
Okay, but usually in the second or third year of your bachelor.
Yes, we advise it. Yes, we advise it, or even if it's a master's later on, because of course, when you start in the first year, you have to first settle in here in the university, understand everything about your program. Afterwards, you can start discussing about going abroad. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to cope with, of course, the Cattolica aspect. First settle in, then go. Yeah.
Okay. Yulia would like to know more about the application and selection process for medicine. I think we actually answered, but
let's say that first you apply for what? You apply to show that you exist, otherwise we don't know your name, and second, to show what diploma you have, because this will set the conditional offer. For example, you're doing IB diploma. Okay, I know that I need to ask you 24 points at the end of it, for example. So we need to know who you are, what diploma you're doing, do you have 12 years of education? This is our checklist. Okay. That's it. We just need to know whether you are okay to sit for the test. Then you sit the test. The requirements there are tough. You have 65 questions in 65 minutes. If you go on the website, you see the breakdown of those 65 questions: biology, chemistry, physics, maths, and psychoattitudinal questions. Afterwards, if you get an offer, then we will then say, okay, you need to finish your diploma, you need to give me an IELTS, you need to give me a TOEFL. Okay. But the selection process, the main factor is the performance on the online test. On the online test that is done in a test center. Yes.
Okay. Kosara, who is actually going to graduate with a Bulgarian high school diploma and American high school diploma from the American College of Sofia.
Yeah. I know very well.
No, yes. Regarding the entry requirements and specific in your interest in the subjects that were studied by the candidate, would AP exams and Bulgarian Matura exams matter if I have not taken enough courses in mathematics? So, for example, if she's missing mathematics in the Bulgarian diploma, can she take separate AP exams, not the 3 ones.
Okay, I don't want to, I mean, that's a very, let's say, complicated, as in not in a bad way, but it's a very delicate subject. I mean, your case is very particular. I would say generally, yes, as long as you have proof that you're okay with maths, to us, it doesn't make the massive difference, right? If you do it through SAT or through, I mean, we just need to have proof that you're doing in your final year some mathematics at some point, okay? But the admission office will be you can send your documents to Evelina, who sends it to me, and we will double check with the admissions office. Generally speaking, I would focus on the Bulgarian and not the American diploma, because the American diploma will require 3 advanced placements. This is not Cattolica requirement, this is Italian government requirement. So if you have the Bulgarian diploma, you don't have to stress about the 3 APs. So of course, we would probably give you a conditional offer to make it easier for you, based on the Bulgarian one.
Okay, and Ognian would like to know requirements about motivation letter and recommendation letters.
Letter of recommendation is not required for any bachelor degree. If you're doing for postgraduate, yes, it is. Undergraduate, we don't care. So don't waste time and waste your teacher's efforts asking for a reference letter. Let them do other things, because we don't look at it. Okay. Motivation letter. Yes. Depending on the program, there might be some specific templates. Psychology, finance, and communication management are 3 subjects that have a specific motivation letter template to fill out. Medicine doesn't require it. Food production management and economics and management are open. So yes, motivation, usual rules, keep it short, more, at least a page. And we know that there are 1,000 courses in Italy on economics, for example. So why Cattolica? What have you read that is interesting for you? What is anything that we need to know that we can't see in our transcripts? So make sure the motivation letter is good. And I'm sure Skylines can give you the support for that.
Okay, and Kusara is continuing. Okay, she wouldn't have APs, for example, the Bulgarian diploma and the US high school diploma. Would she be exempt from the requirement for an English certificate?
Probably.
Based on the US high school diploma?
I think so.
And we do have such students admitted this year to Cattolica, and they needed to only provide the US high school diploma, which is just like this. And they didn't need to provide an English. So
exactly.
You should be exempt. And then I'm reading, thank you, Aisha. Grazie mille, Aisha.
Merci. We're very, very welcome.
And Ioana is also asking, it's an undergraduate program of economics and management. It's open for people who want to transfer from another university.
If it's an Italian university that you're enrolled in, of course, we can transfer. It's more complicated because you probably, depending on how many exams you've done in Italian university, may have to go down the Italian route of applications. If you are in a Bulgarian or any other university, non-Italian, in a way it's easier because in terms of application for us, you will have to pay an application fee. We cannot waive that for transfers. It takes more time. Transfers around the world are not easy anyway, in any period of time.
No, I think she's precising because she's the one who started the application for the economics and management. And now she's explaining that this is one open for transfer from other universities. I don't know. I think, Ioana, you need to send us a link to where you're looking for. Where did you start your application?
You definitely did not start your application in Cattolica. It's impossible. There's no link to, you cannot apply for economics this year. So
so it's good to get in touch with us next week.
Please do.
One way or another. So Marie, I would like to know for the entry requirements about subject studied, what should I do? If in my last 2 years of high school, I specialized in another field because I'm interested in the international relations. But in these 2 years, I'm studying chemistry, biology, math in Italian, physics in Italian. Should I attend courses about history or something else, or maybe attend a Matura subject in that? I don't know.
That is a difficult one. I mean, my gut reaction is no. especially because if you've done science subjects, the professor is more calm on the economics aspect, like you're good with numbers, I guess. So that's important. Again, we have time. Send your, I mean, I don't think we can oblige you to do extra exams, you know, that we cannot ask you that. What I would suggest is send us an email and your case, and we can see what the admission office has to recommend. But generally speaking, I don't think they're going to be asking you that.
Yes, Aisha, I think this is related to the changes in the Bulgarian high school system and diploma. And now the last 2 years, students are with a profile selected 2 years ago. And the first students who are going to graduate in 2022 are going to be with this kind of diploma with a profile selected 2 years ago. So many questions about this diploma, but still we are in a process. And I think the university will have to see at the subjects and the transcripts and then to
and decide.
To decide. Ivana is asking, when are you required to take the entry test? How many places are there for EU citizens in the economy and management program? There is no entry test again.
There is for economics management, there is an online test if your maths is absent, your maths is weak, and you haven't done an SAT. So at this point, instead of giving you rejection, we say, listen, the last option is to do our online test. There isn't an amount of places for EU, non-EU. That is only for the medicine test that there is this specific breakdown. And that, So again, are you interested in economics and management? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, have a look with Evelina and the staff to look at your maths diploma. Understand if you want to do an SAT. If the answer is no, or you do the SAT and the subject, the maths is very low, it's less than 560. Then, we will do the online test.
Yes, and to answer also, I think it was online.
It was online.
Not before January. I mean, you
have not before February as well.
Or put in a waiting list, and then all those who are put in a waiting list are invited to take the test. And they see the dates and everything.
Correct.
So, Kusara would like to know, would any foreign language certificates other than English be beneficial for the international relations and global affairs program?
From an academic point of view, we cannot, let's say, prioritize. We cannot give favors to someone who does have that. But for you, from a non-admissions point of view, it will. I mean, it's fantastic if you have that. I mean, the more languages you know, the better. But from an admissions point of view, it should not be impacting much. For them, they care that you have the English requirement. So that's the main thing.
Ioana, if you have taken the SAT and your results are not really great, can you present both SAT and your entry test, which we just explained the entry test you are invited to?
I would definitely put your not so great SAT, so at least they know that you've done it. Yes. And, if it was 2 points below, if it was 558, I mean, they can understand how you are, but then they will ask you, it's the admission office that tells you if you have to do the online test or not.
Okay, then I would like to know if the results from the final exam, the Matura ones, are important for admission or enrollment afterwards, for example.
The important Cattolica makes an offer based on what you've done already. So it's more important that you do well now than your final score. Your final score, of course, you have to pass the Matura, you have to obtain it. We can never enroll with someone who doesn't have a diploma, but you won't have a predicted, a conditional offer based on a specific score, for example.
Like the British University.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Ioana Popova, it's another Ioana. Where do the Bulgarian candidates usually take the admission exam for medicine? In Rome, Italy, or in Bulgaria with Skylines as Cattolica partners?
Yeah, no, the test center is not related to partners. Exactly. It would make life easier, but no. Yeah. It's a third company that has test centers around the world. And when you start your application for medicine, there is already a list of cities that you can indicate your preference in. I don't think Sofia was one of them. But you can choose the one that it maybe if for you is easier to access, to fly to, take a train to, whatever it is. So you can probably, you can choose, you can see the list of test centers available already on the online application.
But for EU applicants, you have to go to the test center.
Correct. As an EU applicant, which I'm guessing most of you are going to be EU applicants, you have to go to the test center, correct, to do the online test. Yes.
And Emon would like to know if there's an interview for international relations program,
No.
like for the psychology. Okay.
No, the only program with an interview is psychology. That's it.
I can see that Ioana is really happy now with her SAT scores and the IELTS score, so she's ready to apply.
Yay! Good.
When the application opens.
Exactly.
We have to check with her this. No more questions. I just reached the bottom of the
list. Okay, guys, I mean, this was 1 hour and a half of a Sunday. I mean, let's keep the conversations going. Talk to your families, get more questions in your prepared, talk to Skylines. And I know that I think with Skylines, we're also going to be doing one-to-one calls or smaller group webinars. So, you know, the options to carry on the conversations are there. So have a reflection, look at the website, look at brochures, and then when you have more questions, we'll happily get in touch again.
So now we're going to stop in the automatically. So we're going to stop before they stop us.
Perfect. Okay.
I suggest to take control of the stopping.
Okay, let me stop.
Okay, Aisha.
There.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you all.
Yeah, we'll be sending the recording to everybody. And,
perfect.
Waiting for the questions, and we're happy to answer as
absolutely
much as we can.
Have a fantastic Sunday and stay safe.
You all. Okay,
exactly.
bye.
Ciao tutti. Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao.